Phil.
Are you listening? Damn.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Race to 100. I am Rick Storsell.
And I'm your co-host, Neil Batang. Thank you for tuning in.
Today, we are on episode number 29, I believe.
No, we're on 30.
We're on 30?
We're on 30.
Okay.
We're 30 large. Thank you guys for staying with us.
Yeah, no, this has been exciting, you know?
Yeah.
30 days of original content. It's like there's never-ending stream of things to talk about.
Yeah.
So, there's been recent talk. I don't know if you followed the politics campaign at all. Donald Trump tends to make an issue about this quite a bit. That is, we need to protect our country. We need to protect our country. We need to stop immigration.
You try to sound like
ban on Muslims, ban on Mexicans. We gotta close the borders until we figure out what's going on, right?
Why is he saying this?
Why is he saying this? Well, there's kind of a reason for him to be saying this, and that is the 2014 U.S. Census came out, and they said that for children under the age of 5 right now, we are already a majority-minority country.
Really?
Majority-minority country. What does that mean?
The majority of our children under the age of 5 are minorities.
Correct.
According to this recent 2014 Census Bureau report.
That in 13 years, correct.
Okay.
In 13 years, when those children who are 5 years old right now reach voting age, there will be 49.8% of the country will be white. Less than 50% for the first time in our country's history.
That's crazy.
So you'll have about 22% will be Hispanic, 15% will be African American, and the rest will be other minority groups that identify as Asian, Pacific Islander, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
So, in a way, there's this fear that's going on, especially among a lot of white people who live in rural areas, tend to be more conservative, is there's this huge fear. It's like, oh my God, our country is changing, our country is changing. Our country has changed. I mean, even if you were to deport.
Can you just say that again? That was kind of funny.
What?
There's this fear amongst white people that the country is changing.
Absolutely. There's this huge there's this huge fear among white people that our country is disappearing, that it's changing from what it used to be, and in reality it has already changed. Even if you were going to deport all the illegal immigrants, you would still have a majority-minority country in a decade and a half.
Wow.
Nothing is going to change that.
That's crazy.
So
That's
what?
crazy.
I mean, is this something that the black community talks about at all?
They do. They do talk about it all the time. It's something they've all come to realize. People are aware that, hey, one day white folks will be the minority in this country and not the majority. The only thing is we represent such a small percentage in this country that we tend not to empathize with it much. You know, I mean, right now we're currently at about 14%. So, I mean, in the next 13 years, if we only increase 1%, I mean, whoop-de-doo. Good for the Latinos and the Asian/Pacific Islanders, but it's not really doing much for our case. But at least it'll be something cool to witness historically.
Do you think that it's going to lead to any sort of change in the black community, or is this something that is detached from what's going on, from the struggles of the African American?
The latter. I think this is something that is most definitely detached from the struggles of the African American. To put it in a simple way, to simply put it, if someone said to me, "Hey, you know, one day white folks are going to be the minority in this country, and Latinos, Pacific Islanders, and blacks will make up the majority," I'll say, what that got to do with me? You know what I'm saying? If blacks become the overwhelming majority, as an ethnic group represented in this country, that's when people will tend to empathize more with that particular situation.
So you
follow through.
You don't think that the majority-minority concept, that there's a shared feeling, a shared sentiment about the issues of minority populations in the country, or are the problems that minority groups facing so totally different from each other that it doesn't that you can't even begin to have a conversation? Because I mean, you look at Hispanics, for example, you look at Asians, like, and it's very different than the black community. It's a very different circumstance, very different situations.
No, absolutely. And again, it's an accomplishment. I mean, to say in the good old U.S. of A. that you have more Latinos and Pacific Islanders than whites, I mean, that's definitely an accomplishment. I mean, it shows the progression in this country that we've been talking about for decades and decades. But again, I think these two ideas, Ricks, are completely separable. The fact that one community is growing exponentially more than the other community, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which is growing exponentially less, which is why the black community might not be able to identify with this whole notion of we're the overwhelming majority. Mm-hmm. It'll be cool. It'll be nice to talk about. Good for you, pat on the back. You know, that's awesome, but that ain't got nothing to do with me.
Now I'll give you an insight as to the white mentality. Is that the white mentality tends to be one of the we view those who are not considered white as the other, and you'll see that as a white majority, soon to be minority, there's a lot of people who are going to perceive that as a threat from all angles, whether it's the growing Hispanic population, whether it's the African American population getting more voice in the media, whether it's the Asian community migrating.
I have a question, because I've read articles and seen studies that have said that the conservative / Republican side of things are in fear that because of this large growth of minorities in the United States in the next 13 years or decade and a half, like you mentioned, the Republican or Conservative Party will progressively dwindle.
You could say that.
Do you foresee that happening one day? That there'll be no Republican Party?
No, because
it will eventually vanish, because so many of the minorities that are coming into this country will just kind of eliminate.
Yeah, I would say
existence.
There's two tracks going on right now, and this is kind of a different conversation, but in the same way, it acknowledges that there's change going on. You see, on one part of the Republican Party, you have individuals like Dr. Ben Carson, you have Marco Rubio, you have even Ted Cruz, who's of Cuban descent as well. You have a lot of these minority groups starting to get involved in the Republican Party with an attempt to change the narrative of what the Republican Party, or aka the white party, is talking about.
Yeah.
They're trying to become more inclusive by saying that the core issues that our party is talking about still is relevant to these minority groups. But then you have this other trend of the Republican Party that are the white nationalist type, the racial supremacists. And I don't necessarily say that in a derogatory way. They're not all KKK members, but they are proud of their whiteness. They're worried about the direction of the country going, and so the Republican Party also speaks to them. So
proud
it's this weird mix. Yeah, people are very proud of their whiteness.
I'm sorry, that just
the hardworking,
blue collar, blonde haired, blue eyed. Your wasps.
People, absolutely.
I got you.
So, there is a change, and it'll be fascinating to see what this looks like, both on the personal level, when you go to school and there's more minorities in your classroom, as a white kid, whether you go to the voting booth and you see on the ballot that you have much more diverse representation. There's a lot of changes that are going to be happening, and it'll be interesting to see how America functions after we reach that point in a decade and a half. Because it is going to be a very different country, and people are going to be voting very differently as well. So you're going to see a lot of changes going on. I would imagine that the Republican Party is going to look very, very different than what it looks like right now, even in the next 5 years. So some simple changes, but
awesome.
Very profound.
I'm looking forward to it. Feel free to let us know what you guys think. Please make sure you like, comment, or subscribe to our YouTube channel for more information and access to Race to 100. Anything else you want to add, Rick?
We will catch you next time on The Race. Peace.